Monday, May 5th, 2025. It's Cinco de Mayo, the day when a bunch of racists um, celebrate with food and drink of the people they're trying to get kicked out of the country. Yay. It is not Mexican Independence Day. Um, and Mexico doesn't really celebrate it. Anyway, enjoy your margaritas and your tacos. But if you're going to wear a sombrero and say "arriba, arriba," you might be a racist. Anyway, I don't know why the View opened with this story about Prince Harry. Um, I don't know why we're covering that story at all anymore. Like, let that family figure out how to heal. And I'm I don't remember which one of them said it. I think it was maybe um, naive little Sarah Haynes, who said maybe he did this on television to try to get his father's attention, which is really sad. Um, but whatever. I after Queen Elizabeth died, I think I don't give a flying fuck about the royal family anymore. Um, so anyway, have at it, kids. Uh, because the big story over the weekend was that like just wild interview that um, the Orange Felon did for Meet the Press, in which he answered the question, "Don't the question? Aren't you supposed to uphold the Constitution?" With "I don't know." Um, the whole thing was bonkers. This weird obsession with children having $30. Instead of getting $30, you'll only get $1 or $2, or maybe $4 or $5. I don't know how many dolls people he thinks people get. And pencils, like pencils, is that a common gift? You get 250 pencils. Um, the man is just cognitively not present. And he admitted again that the election was rigged for him because otherwise he'd be in jail. Which I don't understand why we're not following up on that. And you know, Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin says, trying to make sure she's not wearing a partisan hat. Bullshit. Um, she says if Barack Obama or Joe Biden said this thing, how would I feel about it? And she said if one of them said they didn't answered the question, they didn't know if they were supposed to uphold the Constitution, um, that she'd be leading the charge with pitchforks against them. But so why does it matter that? Why aren't you leading a charge with pitchforks against this guy? He said it, but you're not going to lead with pitchforks because he's on your team? That doesn't make any sense. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. Uh, and that to me is grounds for impeachment. But we've got the most cowardice fucking Congress in the world. The Republicans don't are afraid of him and are grifting along with him. Marjorie Taylor Greene has apparently made tens of millions of dollars in her time in Congress, and so she's loving the grift. And the Democrats are just spineless weasels. Um, what there are methods at your disposal, and why aren't you just literally like ringing the bell every fucking day? It's so stupid. Um, he doesn't know if he's supposed to uphold the Constitution. And then he said, I've got a lot of lawyers, really smart lawyers working for me. Working for me. That's just like it's not for you. The attorneys are working for the American public. Your private attorneys, fine, but not for the presidency. That's a whole different. And Pam Bondi is not your lawyer. She is the Attorney General of the United States of America, which is a completely different job. Although she's, doing a fine job of just protecting his little fucking fat ass. Um, The whole thing is just so maddening. And Whoopi, I get it. It's up to us. Sure, great. It's up to us. Go march and make your voices heard. Whoopi, we elected people to Congress to do this for us. There are rules and there are laws, and none of them are being followed, and they're not even trying. It's very, at least if they are, they're not letting us know that they are. And there's a lot of people that are afraid to speak up. I don't know if this made the national news, but Mike Lawler is a congressman in a district just north of New York City, and he had a town hall, and an older woman was physically removed from it over the weekend. Um, Private security came, literally like picked her up out of her seat and dragged her out while the entire crowd was chanting, "Let her stay, let her stay, let her stay." And then when she was gone, they just started chanting shame. And the moderator was like, "Oh, the congressman has really been so nice to give us his time. We really need to be more respectful." It's bullshit. And people are afraid to go to protests. They're afraid of getting arrested. Um, this is a regime that is disappearing people off the streets, and they're US citizens. So it's not all up to us to be marching. There's a giant responsibility in our elected officials, and fuck you, Amy Alyssa Fowler Griffin. And even now, I'm getting confused by what all of her names actually are. Um, if you would have been leading the charge with pitchforks, if Biden or Obama said they didn't know if they were supposed to uphold the Constitution, why aren't you leading with pitchforks against this guy? Pitchforks is, by the way, an awful um, uh, 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 sort of symbol to use because that happened a lot when in racist lynchings. So I'm not exactly sure you want to use that, but whatever. Um, you're a millennial, you don't know. That was a dumb argument too. Um, but anyway, I'm not very crabby. Very crabby about this episode of The View because it's just, and it's difficult to even talk about it because it's the same thing every time. He's wildly unfit for the job. He's ruining lives. He's destroying our economy. He's destroying our relationships around the world. The longer he's there, the harder it's going to be to repair any of it. Um, and it still feels like no one's doing anything. So sorry, Whoop, but we might need some help, is I guess what I'm saying. It is interesting, however, how he has affected elections around the globe. Canada went wildly towards the Liberal Party after just a few months of having looking like they were going to lose bigly to the Conservatives, so much so that the leader of their party actually stepped down and created a new prime minister, who I think is great. Australia just went wildly to re-elect a Liberal candidate that they had uh, was sort of becoming an underdog in that race until Trump became an asshole. Um, Germany has sort of turned around from its sort of march toward fascism, and I don't know that that has any impact on anybody in the United States. That I mean, his stupid cult in the American electorate can't see past their own fucking nose. They can't even see the fucking felon that's right in front of them. So I don't know what it takes for this to break, but it needs to break um, somehow, and I don't know where we're going to get the help to do that because we clearly aren't capable on our own, and which is really sad. It seems like there should be enough um, moral fiber in Washington D.C. To do something properly, and it doesn't seem that there is. So again, you know, I'm all in with David Hogg. Let's just fucking wash him out. If you can't stand up, poor, what is her name? Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, like literally shaking, talking about being fearful of him. Then get the fuck out. Like, what has he got on everybody? I don't get it. Is he really threatening violence on everybody? Then fucking like call the police. I know the police are in his pocket too. Blah blah blah. Like that's the point. Like if people feel like there's nowhere to turn because you're nowhere are you safe from this guy and his mob, then what the fuck? What are we supposed to do? Whoop. It does feel very helpless in this country with everything that's happening with this fucking regime, and um, trying to figure out how the fuck we're gonna get out of it. Somewhere was it Romania? Somewhere recently, 6 months after a federal election, just recalled another one to say that election was marred by Russian interference and we're going to have a do over. Can we do that? I mean, I don't feel like our politicians have enough courage to do that um, because we'll lose faith in the elections. Like, you think we haven't lost faith in the election system already? He fucking stole the election. He's admitted it like 5 times. Oh. Um, and then I saw that the JFK Profiles in Courage Award went to Mike Pence over the weekend for his actions on January 6th, 4 years ago. He did his job. All he did was do his job. He did what he was supposed to do, his job, what he was elected to do, his job. I don't know why. I mean, I get it. The bar is really low because no one in Congress seems to be doing theirs. Well, aside for a few of them. So, uh, I guess the courageous bar is in the basement with a toilet. It's in the gold toilet. Anyway, it's been dreary and rainy for a couple of days, and I gotta get outside and move some ferns or something. I guess hopefully the week gets better from here.